Nikola Tesla is one of the most enigmatic figures in the history of science and technology. His discoveries revolutionized humanity's understanding of energy and electricity, but the last years of his life are shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. Today, we will take a journey through the last days of this great inventor to understand what happened during that period and what circumstances led to his mysterious disappearance. At the beginning of the 20th century, Nikola Tesla lived in New York, his aura of fame gradually fading, and his ideas began to seem too far-fetched for most people. He often secluded himself in his hotel room, where he spent days and nights surrounded by his diaries, filled with unread and unappreciated notes. His health steadily declined, and his habits became increasingly eccentric. Those around him noted his curious behavior, regular walks with pigeons, and strange predictions about the future. An atmosphere of anxiety and uncertainty reigned outside the walls of his hotel room. Although Tesla was no longer young, he continued to work on projects that he believed had the potential to change the world. At this time, the oddities in his life intensified. He began to avoid communication with friends and acquaintances, and his relationship with the public and the scientific community resembled a retreat into the shadows. At such moments, it seemed as if he was preparing for something great, but he did not reveal his plans even to those closest to him. Of particular interest is the fact that it was the Secret Services who were the first to break into his hotel room. This gave rise to many speculations and theories. What could have interested the state authorities in Tesla's notes and experiments? Of course, a figure of such stature could not go unnoticed, especially in the context of intense international competition and the struggle for new technologies. Shortly after his disappearance, speculation began that many of his works and diaries had been secretly seized to prevent information leaks. In the last years of his life, Nikola Tesla was in a state of constant struggle and loneliness. His ideas about wireless energy and the possibilities of wireless transmission seemed too ambitious. All his conversations often revolved around new energy sources that could revolutionize the global economy. Despite the lack of recognition, he continued his research and experiments, believing in a bright future for humanity. It is said that in the period before his disappearance, Tesla was surrounded by a strange atmosphere of secrecy. He received mysterious letters and phone calls, and his hotel room in Manhattan was often visited by people with unusual documents who did not reveal their true intentions. Some scientists and historians believe that the inventor may have been under government surveillance due to the potential threat his discoveries posed if they fell into the wrong hands. It was clearly observed that Tesla had several key diaries with notes that he kept carefully. After his disappearance and death, these diaries mysteriously disappeared. No one knows what was written in them and what secrets this priceless source of information holds. The disappearance of the documents has become one of the greatest mysteries in the scientific world. Perhaps it was an attempt to hide ideas that were brilliant but too dangerous for society. The story of Nikola Tesla did not end with fanfare and pomp, but with a quiet mystery and many questions. His last days were filled with loneliness, lack of recognition, and constant experiments that remained hidden from public view. However, it was this period that left behind many unspoken facts that continue to stir the minds of researchers and mystery lovers around the world. It is also worth noting the scientist's poor health, which worsened in his later years. He suffered from insomnia, headaches, and other ailments typical of a person immersed in work without rest. This affected his emotional state, making him even more withdrawn, as if he were desperately trying to protect himself from the outside world and uninvited guests. All these circumstances together form the basis for a mysterious disappearance that remains the subject of numerous investigations. Nikola Tesla, a man ahead of his time, left behind not only a legacy of inventions, but also a mystery that continues to captivate the minds of many followers and experts. How could such important documents simply disappear? And why were government agencies the first to arrive at his hotel room? The answers to these questions may lie in the details of his final days, which will be the subject of further study. To better understand what happened during those fateful days, we need to take a closer look at his personal life, his surroundings, and the reaction of the scientific community at the time. This will allow us to paint a clearer picture and bring us closer to solving the mystery of the great scientist. The next part of our story will be devoted to analyzing the days when Tesla's diaries disappeared, and we will examine the versions put forward by various parties, from official sources to unofficial stories and rumors. We will try to take all the available information and identify the key moments that could have influenced the fate of his legacy. Stay tuned for the continuation. The disappearance of Nikola Tesla was not only a surprise to many, but also a real mystery. Today, we will delve into the moments when the great inventor disappeared from view and examine the reactions of those close to him and those who dedicated their lives to his ideas. In addition, we will explore why the Secret Services were among the first to arrive at the scene and what role they played in this event. Nikola Tesla was a man whose life was shrouded in mystery and intrigue. His disappearance occurred at a time when the world needed his discoveries and knowledge more than ever. One morning, when everyone was expecting to see him in his hotel room, he suddenly vanished. His loved ones were the first to become alarmed, as they had no idea where the scientist might have gone or what might have happened to him. The response to Tesla's disappearance was swift and decisive. His friends and colleagues immediately searched every possible place where he might be, but all attempts to find him quickly proved unsuccessful. Every minute was precious, because Nikola Tesla was being watched not only out of curiosity, but also because of the importance of the secrets he possessed. It was a moment when hope was mixed with anxiety and growing concern. A second wave of unrest began when representatives of the special services arrived at the hotel. Their appearance was mysterious and at the same time alarming to those around them. The first to arrive at the scene of the scientist's disappearance were not local law enforcement officers, but agents who worked on special assignments and had the authority to conduct a closed investigation. Why them? The reason lies in the fact that Nikola Tesla possessed knowledge that could change the world order and influence technological development with unpredictable consequences. His diaries, filled with technical drawings and theoretical calculations, became the subject of interest not only to scientists, but also to security researchers. It is no coincidence that shortly after his disappearance, all of Tesla's papers began to disappear from his possession in ways that were unexpected to him. Special service agents took control of the place where Tesla was last seen, carefully examining every corner of the room and trying to find traces of unusual interference. It is known that cybersecurity experts and physicists arrived at the hotel with them to assess possible clues. This was a coordinated move aimed at preserving and analyzing information that could prove extremely important. Numerous clues found during the initial inspection did not immediately shed light on Tesla's fate. But one thing was clear: his disappearance was not accidental. This led to speculation that the scientist may have been kidnapped or forcibly detained somewhere in order to extract the knowledge he had kept secret. The investigation took on the tone of a spy thriller and a mysterious intrigue. It is interesting to note the reaction of Tesla's loved ones during those days. First and foremost, the family was deeply shocked. Many friends and colleagues speculated about possible motives for his disappearance, including a conspiracy to prevent the free distribution of his inventions. However, official authorities tried to limit the information available to the public, which further fueled the unrest. One of the key issues that raised the most doubts was the disappearance of Tesla's diaries. Researchers believe that these documents may have contained secrets that could radically change our understanding of scientific processes. Once in special storage, they disappeared from public and scientific view for a long time, giving rise to a multitude of rumors and speculations. The special services, acting in the shadows and strictly according to instructions, proceeded cautiously and efficiently. They monitored everything that happened around the disappearance, trying to quell any attempts to leak information. The situation became increasingly confusing, and more mysterious details emerged around the disappearance. Meanwhile, the search for Nikola Tesla took on new forms and scope, involving more and more specialists from various fields. Control over the hotel room continued for more than a day. Experts implemented a whole range of measures to secure the evidence found and minimize possible information leaks. Cooperation between various agencies was quickly organized, which testified to the seriousness of the situation and the possible consequences for national and international security. Among the theories discussed in a small circle was the version that Tesla may have been forced to go into hiding because of threats to his life as a result of his scientific discoveries. His ideas about wireless energy transmission and new ways of generating electricity aroused not only admiration, but also fears among some influential people. Perhaps his disappearance was a precautionary measure and protection from more serious consequences. The facts that emerged in the first days after his disappearance remained extremely contradictory. The public was ready for all kinds of explanations, but each new fact only added to the mystery. It is important to emphasize that representatives of the special services, in carrying out their work, repeatedly noted traces of attempts at interference by third parties and even possible traps. In parallel with the closed investigation, a global scientific community began to form, interested in finding out the fate of Tesla and preserving his legacy. Many researchers understood that if the diaries remained forgotten, humanity would lose the key to new technologies. Thus, tension gradually grew between the need to protect secrets and the desire to spread knowledge. Nikola Tesla forever remained a figure embodying genius and loneliness. His disappearance only reinforced the myths and legends surrounding his personality, giving rise to numerous versions and speculations. However, the fact remains that the first steps of the investigation revealed the complexity of the task and the importance of a quick response. Cooperation between various structures and professionalism played a key role in the search and analysis of the circumstances. The circumstances of his disappearance are still being discussed and analyzed, and every new document discovered in the archives can add important details to the overall picture. The traces of the search initiated immediately after his disappearance gave an idea of the scale of the efforts undertaken to uncover the mystery. All this has forever changed the perception of Nikola Tesla as not only a scientist, but also a figure whose life was accompanied by endless mysteries. In conclusion, it should be emphasized that the first days after the disappearance were decisive for the fate of both the inventor himself and the legacy he left behind. The question of where the diaries disappeared remains open. Further investigations and searches could shed light on many aspects of this mystery. Now all attention turns to the next stage, where we will examine the secrets of Tesla's writings and their possible influence on the course of history. Nikola Tesla is a figure shrouded in mystery and intrigue. His inventions and ideas were far ahead of their time, but the disappearance of his diaries and secret documents only adds to the mystery surrounding this great scientist. Immediately after his death, representatives of the special services appeared in his hotel room, which only fueled interest in what exactly was contained in the inventor's personal notes. Tesla kept extensive records of his research, which reflected not only technology, but also theories that could change the course of history. His diaries were not just notes, but a treasure trove of scientific discoveries, some of which have never been revealed to the world. The question of where these papers could have disappeared still excites researchers and enthusiasts to this day. Immediately after Tesla's death, government agencies took an interest in his legacy, which is not surprising. His inventions concerned not only electricity, but also possible military technologies capable of shifting the balance of power between different countries. Some claim that the diaries were confiscated for study, and kept secret to prevent the publication of information that could be dangerous to the balance of power in the world. Others put forward the theory that the materials could have fallen into the hands of private organizations or even secret societies whose goal is to control the development of science and technology, directing it in the right direction. Such assumptions fuel various conspiracy theories, from espionage to the concealment of breakthrough technologies for political reasons. Another version suggests that Tesla himself may have deliberately hidden his notes, realizing how powerful and dangerous his research could be. His penchant for mysticism and mystery may have prompted the scientist to create a system to protect his ideas from the majority. Despite numerous speculations, the documents were indeed partially confiscated by the United States government. The archives, along with Tesla's personal belongings, were temporarily stored in various agencies, raising questions about how complete access to them was and who exactly had custody of these materials. Looking at the key players in the events, it is worth noting the FBI agent who was the first to arrive at the hotel where Tesla was staying. His presence suggests that the official authorities had a clear and systematic interest in the scientist's legacy. The swift action of the special services gave rise to a lot of rumors about the possible value of the objects and documents found. From the surviving evidence, we know that some of the materials were published and distributed among scientific communities. However, years of research have shown that most of the records remained hidden, shrouded in secrets and theories that cannot be verified with certainty. One of the key questions remains the reason for such secrecy. Perhaps the disclosure of Tesla's diaries could have not only sparked a technological revolution, but also changed the political landscape of the time. At the same time, the scientific archive could have become an arena for the struggle between the interests of different countries and special services. Some researchers link the disappearance of the diaries to the Cold War, when access to new technologies was subject to strict control and intrigue. Tesla, who himself foresaw the coming changes, found himself at the center of this geopolitical whirlwind, even posthumously. Particular attention is paid to the ideas laid out in the so-called plans for peace, to which Tesla devoted a great deal of time and effort. These plans envisaged the creation of devices capable of providing free and unlimited energy for all of humanity. Such a radical prospect could have been perceived as a threat to the existing order. Delving into the details of the seizure and subsequent storage of the diaries helps to understand how seriously the authorities took the scientist's legacy. The records of those days testify to the complicated negotiations and frequent changes in the status of the documents, which only adds to the sense of mystery. One important factor is Tesla's character, his unusual lifestyle, and his proven paranoia, which may have influenced how he disposed of his notes. He often changed their storage locations, which complicated the search and collection of materials after his death. There are theories that not all of the diaries were found. Some of them may have been lost or hidden by the inventor himself in inaccessible places. The search for them continues today, attracting the attention of historians and researchers like a chess game where every piece has meaning. Conspiracy theories that Tesla's diaries contained drawings of new weapons or unknown technologies are fueled not only by imagination, but also by real arrests and security measures taken during those tense times. International intelligence games played a significant role, as they saw the scientist's legacy as a unique resource. With the advent of new search technologies, including the digitization of archives and the reproduction of ancient documents, there is hope that more secrets will be revealed. However, the information vacuum created in the last century still protects a wealth of hidden data. Looking at the fragments of diaries that have been found, it can be seen that they contain not only technical notes, but also reflections on the future, energy, and the ethics of using scientific achievements. This shows Tesla's multifaceted personality and his concern for humanity. The intertwining of science, mysticism, and politics in the fate of his diaries makes this topic particularly interesting and complex. Questions about whether the integrity of the exhibits has been preserved, who had access to them, and for what purpose remain open. Equally important is the heroic aspect. Bureaucracy, competition, and intrigue often stand in the way of the free dissemination of knowledge. And the fate of the great scientist's documents has become a vivid example of these processes. Thus, the disappearance of Nikola Tesla's diaries continues to stir the minds to this day, for they contained a part of the future that has never been fully revealed. The next chapter will provide a more detailed look at how his inventions began to change the world despite all the obstacles. Nikola Tesla was always more than just an inventor. He was a man who left behind many mysteries. His disappearance raised a wave of questions, and to this day, no one knows the exact reasons and circumstances surrounding this event. I would like to join you in exploring the various versions and hypotheses that have emerged in attempts to unravel this mystery. Official sources claim that Tesla died of natural causes in his hotel room. But here's what's interesting. Immediately after his death, representatives of the Secret Services arrived at the hotel and carefully seized all his documents and personal belongings. This caused a lot of rumors and speculation because no ordinary death is accompanied by such attention. Why were the Secret Services so interested? Possible explanations lie in the uniqueness of Tesla's knowledge. According to one version, the inventor's diaries and notes contained information that could change the balance of power in the world. Nikola worked with technologies that could revolutionize energy, communications, and even warfare. It is not surprising that government agencies and secret services would be interested in preserving these secrets. Some researchers believe that Tesla was not just a scientist, but a participant in complex political intrigues. His work could have posed a threat to large corporations and governments whose interests lay in traditional sources of energy and weapons. In this light, the inventor's disappearance and the loss of his diaries look like a carefully planned operation. On the other hand, there is a less dramatic hypothesis proposed by some historians. It states that the reason for such a violent reaction was the fear of losing control over technologies that were not yet fully understood and mastered. Nikola Tesla left behind a huge legacy, and not everyone wanted it to become popular and accessible to everyone. In addition to these versions, there are more mysterious conspiracy theories. There are speculations that Tesla was kidnapped by secret organizations so that his discoveries would not fall into the hands of competitors, or even to use his knowledge in secret projects. Such rumors were fueled by the fact that the scientist's personal papers disappeared without a trace, and his relatives were not always aware of what was happening. Interestingly, the testimonies of neighbors and hotel employees paint a picture of tension surrounding the inventor's personality. Some claimed that he was being followed, and in the last days of his life, the atmosphere became suspiciously tense. This confirms the version that he may have been the subject of attention from special services or other groups who needed his knowledge. It is also known that Tesla's most valuable materials were kept in special containers and safes, indicating the importance and secrecy of the information they contained. After his death, these items disappeared, forever losing part of the understanding of his work. Such concealment of materials may not support the official version of his natural death and subsequent peaceful burial of his scientific legacy. It is no coincidence that historians and researchers regularly return to the topic of the Secret Services being the first to be allowed into the hotel. At this point, the active removal of documents began, which were believed to contain calculations for new types of energy, plans for unusual devices, and even descriptions of experiments with radiation and electromagnetic fields. Another intriguing detail concerns the political conditions of the time. There were widespread debates about the need to control electrical technologies and their introduction into the military sphere. Nikola Tesla could have been at the center of an international struggle for technological superiority. His disappearance fits into that atmosphere of hidden conflicts and shady deals. It is curious that after this incident, many scientists close to Tesla resigned or abruptly withdrew from public life. This may have been due to a sense of danger and an unwillingness to reveal details that could harm not only themselves, but the entire scientific community. The situation became so complex and confusing that there are still no clear answers to this day. Theories related to Tesla himself, his character, and his beliefs cannot be ignored. He often expressed ideas that went beyond the boundaries of conventional knowledge, and this may have caused not only admiration, but also fear among those in power who controlled scientific research. Either way, his disappearance remains a mystery. At the same time, it should not be forgotten that history sometimes likes to replace facts with fiction, and some versions of Tesla's disappearance and the fate of his diaries have little evidential value. Nevertheless, it is this mixture of truth and speculation that creates a special atmosphere of mystery surrounding this event. The circumstances surrounding his death are shrouded in mystery, which continues to intrigue researchers. It is important to note that attempts to find the diaries and recover the lost data continue to this day. Some archives have been accidentally discovered, but they only confirm that much is shrouded in secrecy and particularly sensitive information. Stories that Tesla may have passed on his knowledge to a few trusted individuals add even more mystery. All these circumstances make us wonder how significant Nikola's work could have been, and why its concealment became a priority for the authorities. In the end, the disappearance of not only the scientist, but also his scientific legacy became a symbol of the struggle between open knowledge and control over secrets. Today, looking at this complex picture, it is clear that there is no simple explanation. Either we are dealing with the result of entirely earthly causes and political intrigues, or there is something more grandiose and mysterious behind it all. But it is precisely this unanswered question that fuels ongoing interest and the search for the truth. For this reason, we will continue to investigate the fate of Nikola Tesla's unique legacy and the motives of those who may have been interested in concealing it. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding the confiscation of the documents and try to understand who was behind this process and what goals these actions pursued. Every mystery of the past has its own shadow, and the disappearance of Nikola Tesla is one of the most enigmatic. Today, we will talk about why the Secret Services were the first guests at the hotel where his diaries disappeared, and what threats lurked behind his discoveries. Understanding the role of these services will help us understand how technology can be a tool not only for progress, but also for danger. When Nikola Tesla died in January 1943, the news of his death quickly spread around the world. However, what was unexpected was that hours after this sad news, representatives of government agencies arrived at the scientist's room. The main purpose of their visit was not only to collect his personal belongings, but also to thoroughly search for and seize his diaries and drawings. This fact has given rise to many theories and questions that still intrigue researchers today. It is known that the main special services of that time, the CIA and the FBI, as well as some intelligence units of Great Britain and the Soviet Union, took a keen interest in Tesla's inventions. There was no secret that these organizations would leave unattended. The uniqueness of Nikola's scientific achievements posed a potential threat to global security and, at the same time, represented enormous intellectual capital. It is important to note that Tesla was working with technologies that were extremely promising. His experiments with radio frequencies, wireless energy transmission, and a new system for controlling electromagnetic fields could have changed the balance of power in the world. The authorities understood that if such developments fell into the wrong hands, they could influence the course of world history. Therefore, control over the scientist's materials was a priority for the special services. Tesla's diaries attracted particular attention, as they contained records of secret experiments and patents that he did not have time or did not want to publish. These documents could contain information about energy technologies that do not deplete natural resources, or about new weapons that could be used by global military forces. For this reason, government agencies sought to secure these materials. The first visitors to the hotel who arrived immediately after Tesla's death, were a carefully organized group that included scientists and intelligence officers. Their task was not simply to seize documents, but to create a complete picture of his scientific legacy so that the information could be distributed with the utmost caution in the future. The participants in the operation themselves recalled that the approach to the case was top secret and carefully prepared. It is noteworthy that at that moment Tesla was in a vulnerable position. None of his relatives had access to his notes and scientific materials. This facilitated the work of the special services, but at the same time raised fears that his true discoveries could be hidden from the public forever. Perhaps this is why there are so many rumors and conspiracy theories surrounding the disappearance of his diaries. Historians and researchers often note that state secrecy and the security of scientific inventions were among the key factors that influenced the fate of many inventors in the 20th century. Tesla's large-scale developments were too risky to allow for accidental leaks. This phenomenon explains not only the removal of the diaries, but also the increased security measures surrounding similar projects around the world. Moreover, there were fears that his developments could be turned into powerful weapons in the hands of ill-wishers. The possibility of controlling energy from a distance seemed particularly frightening, as it could change the way wars were fought and even affect the integrity of states. Therefore, precautions were not just a formality, but a real necessity. It is not surprising that many modern theories explain the mysterious interest in Tesla's legacy as a desire to monopolize revolutionary technologies. The authorities were interested not only in security, but also in controlling information about possible breakthroughs in energy and communications. This fueled an atmosphere of suspicion, rumors, and myths surrounding the scientist and his work. Of course, the human factor cannot be ignored. Tesla was a loner who trusted only a small circle of people. His secrecy and aloofness, combined with his incredible genius, made his work the subject of intense scrutiny. This combination is one of the reasons for the intense interest of the Secret Services. It is important to understand that in the middle of the last century, security and control of information became matters of national security. At a time when technology was becoming a key resource, states could not afford to lose their competitive advantage, especially in the face of the intensifying Cold War and global political changes. Manipulation of information about Tesla's developments became part of this struggle. In addition, it is still unknown how many diaries have been lost and how many are classified. Experts suggest that some of the information was classified for decades to prevent the spread of knowledge that could cause chaos or war. This approach has left a significant gap in historical records and scientific heritage. Ultimately, the situation surrounding the disappearance of Tesla's diaries and the role of the Secret Services reflects the eternal dilemma of human civilization. Technological progress brings with it both opportunities and threats. By controlling knowledge, government agencies try to reduce risks, but in doing so, they create new mysteries and questions that continue to haunt researchers and admirers of scientific genius. We must not forget that the legend of Nikola Tesla lives on and continues to inspire new generations. Despite all the obstacles, his research and discoveries became the basis for many modern technologies. But it is precisely around them that many mysteries continue to swirl. And the role of the Secret Services proves how strong an influence politics and security have on science. Looking back at the story of the disappearance of his diaries, we see that the mystery is not only where the papers went, it lies in how state interests and fears influenced the fates of inventors and the development of technology itself. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the personality of Nikola Tesla, his views, and the reasons that may have contributed to his isolation and secrets. The disappearance of Nikola Tesla still excites the minds of researchers and mystery lovers. His sudden disappearance and the mysterious disappearance of his diaries remain the subject of much speculation. Today, we will try to understand how this event affected science and society as a whole. Why, despite all efforts, did many of Tesla's discoveries never become publicly available? And why did public opinion change so radically? When Tesla disappeared, the first people to arrive at the hotel where he was staying were representatives of the Secret Services. This circumstance gave rise to a multitude of theories, often overshadowing the very essence of his scientific legacy. His developments and ideas about electromagnetism, the principles of wireless energy transmission, and the latest technologies would have found much wider application if not for this mysterious incident. To this day, many scientists regret that key materials did not fall into the hands of open institutions. The public, having learned of the disappearance of the great inventor, began to perceive him as a mystic rather than simply a technical genius. This led to a peculiar cult of Tesla, mixed with conspiracy theories and secret documents that were allegedly stolen from his personal papers. The scientific community was divided between those who supported theories of global conspiracies and those who sought to maintain objectivity by embarking on a restructuring of scientific paradigms. The loss of Tesla's diaries was a huge blow to progress. They may have contained detailed descriptions of methods and technologies far ahead of their time. Without these records, many areas of scientific development were forgotten or misinterpreted. This made the path to innovative achievements more difficult and lengthy. Scientists were forced to reinvent discoveries that could have given humanity completely different opportunities. An important consequence was the growing distrust of official sources. After it became known that agents were the first to break into Tesla's room, many began to ask, what exactly was the great inventor hiding? Such stories gave rise to a wave of suspicion that top-secret technologies could have fallen into the hands of the military or special services, which seriously affected the public perception of science as a field that is accessible to all and transparent. For inventors and innovators, the disappearance of Tesla's diaries was a warning. In the future, many preferred to hide their developments or protect them from outsiders. This influenced the culture of scientific work, making it more closed and confidential. Unfortunately, this turn of events slowed down not only progress, but also cooperation between scientists, which could have led to new discoveries and improved the lives of millions. Tesla's tragedy also highlighted the importance of preserving intellectual heritage. After this incident, many countries began to actively implement systems for archiving and protecting scientific materials. Society began to realize the value of documentation and the need to share knowledge, but only under strict control. This gave rise to a new era in which science became both a public endeavor and a strictly regulated process. Despite all the losses, the memory of Nikola Tesla inspires a new generation of researchers. His ideas continue to evolve and be implemented in modern technologies, from wireless data transmission to alternative energy sources. This proves that even after the disappearance of a genius without a trace, his contribution cannot be completely destroyed. The story of Nikola Tesla reminds us of the fragility of human knowledge and the need to value every brick found in the common edifice of progress. Thus, the disappearance of Tesla and his diaries affected not only the course of scientific discoveries, but also the formation of public opinion about the scientific process. This event is a call for caution and responsibility, which must accompany great ideas and discoveries. Only by understanding the lessons of the past can we move forward without repeating the same mistakes and misconceptions. Continuing to examine the impact of Tesla's disappearance, it is impossible not to notice how it affected the development of future technologies. Many potentially revolutionary fields were delayed due to a lack of access to original documents and designs. In a sense, this made the world more vulnerable to challenges that could have been solved long before they arose. A key factor was that the disappearance affected not only the scientific community, but also corporate and government structures. Special services have shown and continue to show particular interest in classified materials related to technological innovations. This has intensified competition in the high-tech sector and created a whole layer of secrecy, losing some of the openness and trust that characterized the era of early experimentation. The public perception of Nikola Tesla has become noticeably more mystical, almost mythological. This has greatly influenced how people perceive scientific discoveries and those involved in them. Legends arose that he was ahead of his time, but trapped in a labyrinth of conspiracy and mystery. This view increases interest in science, but also creates a false impression that it is impossible to get closer to the truth without special knowledge or access. Nevertheless, many modern scientists are trying to move away from conspiracy theories and return to the study of pure facts and data. This process marks a return to the basic principles of science: honesty, verifiability, and reproducibility of results. The loss of the diaries was a lesson for the entire scientific community that transparency and access to information must be protected in order to avoid repeating such mistakes. The impact on culture and education should not be underestimated either. Stories about Tesla and his mysterious disappearance have taken an important place in school curricula and popular culture. They stimulate curiosity and motivate people to study technical sciences, but at the same time, they require caution in enjoying sensationalism and rumors. It has become important to teach critical thinking and careful analysis in order to separate fact from fantasy. In conclusion, the disappearance of Nikola Tesla and his diaries not only slowed the progress of science, but also raised serious questions for society about the responsible use of knowledge. This event serves as a reminder that great minds are often protected and threatened at the same time, and that access to their work must be kept as open as possible while ensuring sufficient security. The future of the entire world depends on it. In conclusion, the impact of this mysterious disappearance is multifaceted and continues to be felt in both scientific circles and society as a whole. It is a lesson that will be studied and discussed for a long time to come, as well as a reason to reflect on how valuable knowledge should be preserved and passed on to future generations. The next aspect of our investigation will allow us to delve into how the investigation was conducted after the disappearance and what theories were put forward in an attempt to solve the mystery. This brings us smoothly to an analysis of the events surrounding the search for Nikola Tesla and the attempts to understand the reasons for his mysterious disappearance. As we begin our journey into the mysteries surrounding the disappearance of Nikola Tesla, it is important to remember that behind every mystery, there are people, their destinies, and incredible stories. Today, we will summarize our findings and try to piece together all the pieces of the puzzle to understand why the great inventor's diaries disappeared and where the first visitors to his hotel room came from. Nikola Tesla was not just a scientist, but a whole world of mysteries and discoveries. His disappearance raises a wave of questions that still have no clear answers. Why did special services suddenly appear after his death and take control of all his papers and designs? Only a careful study of the facts, without speculation and conjecture, will help us answer this question. One of the main mysteries remains the mysterious disappearance of Tesla's diaries. Throughout his life, Nikola carefully recorded his notes, working ideas, and experiments. However, after his death, they seemed to vanish into thin air. Despite official versions that some documents were confiscated by the government, the details of this process are incomplete and raise many questions among researchers and historians. No less intriguing is the sudden appearance of agents from various intelligence agencies in Tesla's hotel room. Many wonder why they were the first to enter the room left by the great inventor. Was it simply an act of protecting information, or was there something deeper at play, involving global interests and possible control over technologies that could change the world? When exploring this topic, we must not forget the importance of honesty and accuracy in the transmission of information. We must avoid speculation and mystification, which are often found in conspiracy theories. The story of Nikola Tesla deserves respect and an objective approach, because behind every historical fact, there are real people and real events. Ultimately, The question of where Nikola Tesla's diaries disappeared to and why the secret services were the first to arrive at the hotel remains open. Today, we have only come closer to understanding the reasons and mechanisms that accompanied these events. However, it is worth remembering that the truth is often more complex and multifaceted than the most vivid assumptions. It is important to note that any discussion on this topic requires critical thinking and fact-checking. Only then can we come closer to a true understanding of what happened to the great scientist and his legacy. Tesla's story is an invitation to perceive science and human destiny in all their complexity. As we continue our journey through the mysteries of Nikola Tesla's life and disappearance, we must not forget the importance of accuracy and responsibility in studying such stories. The following chapters will help reveal other aspects of this incredible story and, perhaps, lead to new discoveries. Diese Meinung steigert zwar das Interesse an der Wissenschaft, schafft aber auch die falsche Vorstellung, dass man ohne spezielle Kenntnisse oder Zugänge nicht an die Wahrheit herankommen kann.